welcome back friends, welcome back to the homestead. I'm in the passive solar greenhouse. I'm going to be talking through an update about what I've learned this year in terms of what I can put forward to next year and make things even better. So if you're interested in some tips and things I've learned, mistakes I've made in this passive solar greenhouse, then stick around and watch the rest of this video. So 2024 growing season is coming to an end. It's now the late September, last week of September, and things are starting to slow down. You can see a lot of the plants here are not looking that great. That's deliberate. We've decided this year to do more of a thing to force the plants to produce or ripen the last sort of fruits. I know the idea of this greenhouse is to grow things for longer, and that is true, as I will point out. But with the tomatoes, we're just experimenting really. I think whenever you do something new, you've got to experiment a bit to learn and move forward kind of things and improve things, and that's certainly what we've been doing here. So let me turn the camera around and talk through some of the good things and bad things that have happened this year, and some thoughts about next year. Okay, so I mean, first of all, it's a really big crows just above me. It's really funny. Obviously, one of the big kind of infrastructure improvements here is I've built this potting desk. I know it's been used for other stuff at the moment. I'm doing some experiments with electronics and stuff, but that's really going to come into its own next year. Going to be a really helpful addition. So in terms of food and what grows and what hasn't grown, and what we've done differently this year, if you remember, just a quick flip back to last year, one of the big things that I recognised from year one moving into year two was about getting heights right in plants. And we have this natural shape of the greenhouse, and so this stuff has to be closer to the front, needs to be lower, and then we can go higher and like that. And that pretty much worked. Of course, we're dealing with plants. There's a lot of variation within, not everything stops at 1 meter or 2 meters, or etc. And you've got to work with that a bit. In terms of varieties, I kind of planted my varieties based on their height range, and effectively that worked, but some of them I think work better in here than others, and so that's going to be an ongoing experiment most years about varieties, and after so many years you'll get it right. For example, this grapefruit variety, which was perfect for at the back, I can't remember how many plants there were, 6 or 7 or something, not that great with fruit, great range of fruit sizes, not that particularly tasty. I can't say any of us were blown away by them, and there were some issues which I featured in another video where the plants just were really growing very strangely. So that's a good example I can't write it off in 1 year, because that's not really fair, just because there could be other conditions this year that may have affected it. So but next year I'll maybe just go a couple or one and just see how it goes, and experiment with some other varieties, as opposed to this one, red Barona pink, de Barona pink, which we put here just before the doorway, because these are indeterminate, because this doesn't particularly need light, certainly not to grow, obviously. Plum type tomato, done exceptionally well, still going strong. The plant has gone up, over, hanging over that next one, and it's still producing fruit. It wants to continue to produce fruit. There's hanging down here, there's fruit. Definitely be growing this next year. Nice plum tomato for canning. I'll put the name on the screen so you know it, but next year we'll put that at the back, and let that grow more, so great cropper, really nice sized fruits, still some there. The reason there's still fruits here, by the way, red ones, is that we have an abundance of tomatoes. If you're not familiar with us, we've got 2 greenhouses, and there's even more tomatoes over in there, and the kitchen is busy every day with producing stuff. for canning, etc. So it's just easier for us to store them on the vine here and pick them as and when we need them before they fall off. That's why there's colourful fruits here. Normally you'd only really see green stuff. So there's the other varieties. Some have and haven't worked, and I'll review that in greater detail at the end of the year when I do my plan for next year. But I'll certainly take that into consideration. In terms of, I think I've just said that what we're doing is starving the plants of water, also pulling the tops off to stop them growing and force all their energy into producing the last fruits, with the exception of maybe these ones where we're encouraging them to grow a bit more, which is fine. The other thing, cucumbers. We're also another positive thing about the greenhouse as a utility area. So for drying stuff, we've got garlic in here, got sunflower heads, we've got sweet corn which was overripe, and we've got popcorn, all been dried in here, which is as a utility greenhouse working fantastically well. So that's another kind of a plus really. And we could, that's an accident kind of, but now we know that it works well as a utility greenhouse. Perhaps we could think more about that next year in terms of what else we could do in here. Cucumbers were a strange one this year. We always grow them at the start of the year and then they kind of finish. And I was about to pull them out and I suddenly thought, actually, a couple of them might be all right. And they've sprang back to life. They didn't do anything for 2 months in June and July. And now, we're picking 2 or 3 cucumbers every day. So that's obviously for today to pick. Probably these will be tomorrow, and so on and so on. And, they're still growing strong, up and over here. And as long as they, as long as they keep growing, as long as there's enough light, then we'll keep picking them. So cucumbers are doing well, and a note really not to give up, I suppose, although I am quite ruthless sometimes. What else? So there was a plan this year. One thing I did do this year, a lot of them are pulled out now, is I did low-level companion planting with marigolds and calendula, which gave really nice colour in here actually. And made the place feel really nice when, before the tomatoes were in colour and stuff like that. I guess it's kind of a well-being thing really. I really liked it. I really enjoyed having the plants in here. But also it kind of took up space which possibly could be used for growing. And so it's a real balance. A lot of them are pulled out now because I wanted to plant some lettuces, which, have not done that well, to be honest. I'm not really sure what's happened with them. Could be a light issue, not really sure. Having said that, these ones, they look like they're stretching for light, but they've not done anything else. And lettuces normally wouldn't be like that. They just, something not quite right. But to be fair to myself, I've seen this variety do this outdoors as well earlier in the year. That's the window's opening, it's warm enough in here now. It's not a great day today, but it's obviously warming up. So yeah, don't know what's happening there. I need to think about that. Obviously you plant these to keep out nasty things, and we never really had an issue with nasty things in here anyway, although this year we did find one big caterpillar, moth caterpillar on one of the plants chomping away. First time ever. Got to appreciate things as, the climate's changing, things are changing, things are warming up, and they certainly are here. So I need to think about that, give more careful consideration about ground cover, because it does cover a lot of the ground that could be used for growing stuff. Now we're in to the back end of the growing year. I've planted cabbages. That one's had a bit of a issue with bugs or whatever, but the rest are doing okay. These are Savoy cabbages. Where there's more light, they seem to be doing better. Once we pull all these leaves off and everything, the light comes through, they'll do fine. And they can stay in here even, as things get really cold, as long as there's light, they will continue to grow those cabbages, and so hopefully we'll have a crop of cabbages in here. And there are some down this side as well. A couple of these are a bit more crowded out, or not doing as well for some reason. But anyway, that's kind of utilising spaces on the ground and thoughts that I need to take forward for next year. Okay, let's talk about the peppers. Now, one of the really, really good things which took us by surprise are peppers. We're not used to having such success with peppers. The idea, obviously, because peppers don't grow that tall, was to put them at the front there. It made this sense for this area in front of the windows, this long line down here, all to be peppers. And they started off quite slow, and then they completely took off. They've done incredibly well. There's lots of chilies on there to pick now. We've been picking peppers, paprika, for a few weeks now. Really enjoying the harvest. Been canning them. There was a video I put up recently with a recipe for some Uncle Augusta salad, which is amazing. You need to get onto that, particularly if you like kind of vinegary acidic salads, or relishes is almost. There's a plant there falling over because I didn't stake it up. That's one of the things that took us by surprise, is all the staking it needed, because we've never grown peppers so tall. They absolutely seem to love it down here. And we need to be more prepared for greater success next year, or equal success, I should say. If you look at, if I can stick the camera through here, all those growing, the lower ones are obviously picked up already. So that's a real, we'll be doing that again next year, and almost makes me want to think about having more peppers, 2 layers of peppers here, maybe the odd tomato, and concentrate on indeterminate tomatoes at the back. That's a thought, isn't it? As well as, obviously, we grew basil down the bottom as well. Basil grew really well and still is growing. Some ginger there as well. So yeah, that's something to think about over winter. No one's, I think, I would love to grow more peppers and chilies and stuff. I think that that might be a thought for next year, really. I'll talk to Gita about that. So yeah, that was kind of the other thing really that was really good, is the way the peppers have worked at the front there. You might think with that high wall that they wouldn't get enough light, but look, they have, and they've really loved it. So good soil in here as well. You kind of think, well, maybe these didn't do too well because of the soil, but then you think, well, that soil there is the same as that soil there, so why would it be the soil? They probably need a better watering. The watering system is due for an upgrade. I'm thinking about upgrades on that as well here. The peppers had to be hand watered as opposed to automatically watered, because it was a third row that I've not had before. Anything else? I think that's about it, really. So there's a few pointers there to think about for next year, positives and negatives, and hopefully, once next year comes around, we can build on what we've done in year 1, what we've done this year, which is year 2, and improve things even more. If you've got any ideas of things that we can improve or experiment on, you'd like to see experiments, then let me know, and I'm happy to have a go at them. There's still some sweet potatoes down there, actually, which I did last year as well. They've not done that well this year, but in principle they're there. Actually, there's still tomatoes trying to grow here that can only be from a tomato that dropped off last year and dropped seeds, which is interesting. So they're still happy to grow here. Yeah, thanks for being a part of what we're doing. Do give us a thumbs up, and do consider subscribing. It really helps us to reach a wider audience, and appreciate that if you do that for us. And do leave your comments below as well. Okay, that's it for now. I look forward to seeing you in another video very soon.